It was 2:30 a.m. when the silence of my small New York apartment shattered with a knock. Not loud. Not frantic. Just steady enough to drag me out of the haze between sleep and wakefulness. "Who the hell knocks at this hour?" I muttered, slipping on my shoes and moving toward the door. Rain tapped against the window. The city outside was alive in its own sleepless rhythm, but my hallway should have been silent. When I opened the door, she was standing there. A girl. Soaked in rain. Shivering. Her hair clung to her face, her eyes swollen as though she hadn't slept in days. Fear and exhaustion wrapped around her like a second skin. "Can I come in?" she asked softly, almost apologetically. I froze. In New York, trust is expensive. You don't let strangers into your home at 2:30 a.m. Not if you've lived long enough to know better. But there was something about her, a fragility, a desperation that told me if I said no, she might collapse right there in the hallway. "Come in," I heard myself say. She slipped past me, her wet shoes squeaking against the wooden floor. She curled up in the corner of my living room like a child trying to disappear. I handed her a towel. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Sarah." Her voice cracked on the syllables, as if it had been a long time since she'd spoken it out loud. I didn't ask for details right away. Instead, I poured her a cup of tea and watched her fingers tremble as she wrapped them around the mug. The steam fogged her tired eyes. She was maybe in her early 20s, but she carried herself like someone who had seen too much, too soon. Finally, I asked, "What are you doing knocking on strangers' doors at this hour?" She laughed. A small, broken laugh. "You weren't supposed to be a stranger." I thought this was still his apartment. His. My brother. He used to live here, years ago. I thought. She trailed off, staring into her cup. I guess I just wanted to believe I'd find him again. Something shifted in me. This wasn't random. Fate had steered her knock to my door. "Where is he now?" I asked carefully. Her lips quivered. "Gone. Deportation. ICE picked him up last year. We came here from El Salvador when I was 12. He kept us alive, worked 3 jobs, sent money to mom back home. And then one day, just like that, they took him. I haven't heard from him since." Her words landed heavy, like stones sinking into water. I'd seen the headlines, heard the statistics, but it was different when the pain was sitting on your couch, dripping rainwater on the floor. "And you?" I asked. "I stayed," she whispered. "I stayed because I thought maybe if I kept searching, I'd find him. But tonight..." Her voice cracked. "Tonight I ran." "From what?" She looked up at me, and for the first time I noticed the faint bruise along her cheekbone, half hidden under her wet hair. "My boyfriend," she said flatly. "American born. Promised me safety, promised me love. Then came the drinking. The shouting. The fists. Tonight he broke a bottle on the counter and said next time it would be my face." The silence that followed was suffocating. Outside, the rain fell harder, rattling against the windows like an angry drumbeat. I wanted to ask why she didn't call the police, but I knew the answer. For someone like her, no papers, no family. Calling the cops was like handing yourself over to the same system that had already stolen her brother. Instead, I asked, "Do you have anywhere safe to go?" She shook her head. "No one. Just doors I thought might still belong to the people I lost." Her words hit me deeper than I expected. Because truth be told, I knew that feeling, searching for ghosts of the past, knocking on doors hoping someone familiar would answer. Years ago, when my father died, I'd spent months wandering the city, convinced I'd find traces of him in the diners we used to eat at, the sidewalks we used to walk. Of course, I never did. But here she was, at my door, looking for her own ghost. I sighed. All right, Sarah. You can crash here tonight. Couch isn't great, but it beats the street. She looked at me, eyes wide, as if kindness was a language she hadn't heard in a long time. Thank you, she whispered. The hours crawled by. I couldn't sleep. I kept listening to the storm outside, to her soft, uneven breathing on the couch. There was a fragility in the air, the sense that if I blinked too long, she might vanish like a dream. By dawn, the rain had stopped. The city hummed awake. I made coffee. She sat quietly, clutching the cup, her eyes red but determined. I can't stay here, she said firmly. If he finds me, if the police see me, it's over. I need to disappear. Disappear where? Somewhere he can't reach. Somewhere I can start again. People say Chicago. Or maybe Denver. Work under the table, keep my head down. Just, anywhere but here. Her resolve startled me. She was terrified, yet unbroken. That kind of courage isn't born in comfort, it's carved out of survival. Then let me help, I said. The words came out before I even thought them through. She looked at me suspiciously. Why would you? I didn't have a clear answer. Maybe because I'd grown tired of ignoring the quiet tragedies around me. Maybe because fate had chosen my door, and I wasn't about to slam it shut. Or maybe because I saw something of myself in her, someone clinging to the last thread of hope. That day, I drove her to the bus station. Bought her a ticket with cash. Pressed a crumpled envelope of bills into her hand. She protested. I can't take this. You can, I said. And you will. Call it repayment. For reminding me that I still have a heart. Her eyes filled with tears. She hugged me, quick and fierce. And then she was gone, swallowed by the crowd. Weeks passed. Life returned to its quiet routine. Sometimes, when I passed that couch, I half expected to see her curled up again, shivering in the dark. Then one morning, an envelope slid under my door. No return address. Inside was a postcard of Chicago's skyline. On the back, scrawled in hurried handwriting, were 4 words, still knocking on doors. That was it. No signature. No details. But it was enough. Because sometimes, survival itself is the loudest knock. And I will never forget the night she chose mine.